Doctor, how is my mother? Traoré's trembling voice echoed through the hospital corridor. Dr. Sourdough lowered his head, deep sorrow in his eyes. Mr. President, there's something very difficult I need to tell you. Your mother's heart is very weak. And... He paused. And what, doctor? The medicine needed for surgery can only be obtained from France. But due to your policies, the French are imposing a medical embargo. Traoré's knees shook as he leaned against the wall. Should he give up his country's independence to save his mother? Just then, a message on his phone would change everything. This nightmare had begun 3 days ago. In the early morning hours, President Ibrahim Traoré was awakened by a panicked phone call from his mother's caregiver, Fatima. Mr. President, come immediately. Madame Mariam's heart. She can't breathe. Traoré jumped into his car without changing out of his pajamas. Ouagadougou's lights were still glowing, but his world had already darkened. His 70-year-old mother, Mariam Traoré, was his only anchor in life, his source of inspiration, and his greatest supporter. When he arrived at the hospital, seeing his mother on a stretcher tore his heart to pieces. The strong, proud woman who always stood upright was now wearing an oxygen mask, her chest rising and falling with difficulty. Mother! Mother! He whispered in her ear. I'm here. Everything will be fine. Mariam Traoré opened her eyes slightly. She looked at her son, a trembling smile appearing on her lips. Ibrahim. She murmured. You shouldn't have come here. Your country is waiting for you. At that moment, Traoré realized that even on her deathbed, his mother was thinking about the country. The shocking news from doctors. Dr. Sourdough was Burkina Faso's most experienced cardiologist. In his 25-year career, he had performed thousands of heart surgeries. But when he faced Traoré, there was unprecedented concern on his face. Mr. President, he said helplessly, your mother's condition is very critical. The heart valves are completely damaged. Urgent surgery is needed. Do it immediately, said Traoré. Money, resources, whatever is needed. The problem isn't money, Dr. Sourdough interrupted. The problem is that we need a special heart medication for this surgery. A drug called Cardiomax. It's only produced in France. Traoré was confused. Medicine? Order it, let it come immediately. The doctor shook his head. That's the problem. We applied to the French Pharmaceutical Institute last week. But we were rejected. Why? Because the French government has started imposing a medical embargo on Burkina Faso. It's the punishment for nationalizing your gold mines, for leaving the CFA franc. These words hit Traoré like slaps. The revenge of the system he had been fighting for years was now threatening his mother's life. Isn't there any other alternative? There are a few hospitals in Europe, but they're also under French pressure. No one will give us this medicine. That night, Traoré waited by his mother's bedside. Mariam Traoré drifted between sleep and wakefulness. Sometimes she would open her eyes, look at her son, and hold his hand. Ibrahim, she said at one point, her voice very weak. What a great leader you've become. Mother, don't talk. Rest. No, son. This might be our last conversation. Her eyes filled with tears. When you were a child, I always told you, great men make great sacrifices. What do you mean? I know what's happening. I heard the doctors. They want you to give up your country to save me. Traoré shook his head. No, mother. I will save both you and my country. Mariam nodded with a weak smile. My dear son, sometimes the greatest victory is the greatest loss. The arrival of the French offer. On the second day, Traoré was holding an emergency meeting at the presidential palace. The health minister, foreign minister, and security team were at the table. Mr. President, said Health Minister Dr. Compare. An official offer has come from France. What offer? They'll provide the Cardiomax medicine. But in return. He hesitated. In return for what? They want you to return 60% of the gold mines to French companies, return to the CFA franc, and cancel agreements with Russia. Traoré slammed his fist on the table. This is blackmail. Yes, but your mother's life is in danger, said the foreign minister sadly. Just then, Traoré's phone rang. French Ambassador Laurent Dubois was calling. Ibrahim, he said with fake courtesy. I heard about your mother's condition. I'm very sorry. What do you want, Laurent? I want to help you. Cardiomax is only available from us. It can be in Ouagadougou within 48 hours. In exchange for, you know, reasonable terms, to repair relations between our countries. So you want me to bow down? I want you to be pragmatic. Your mother's life is more valuable than political stubbornness, isn't it? Traoré hung up the phone. Everyone in the room was looking at him. President, what will we do? Asked the security chief. I don't know, said Traoré helplessly. I don't know. Mother's final words. When he went to the hospital that evening, his mother's condition had worsened further. Dr. Ouagadougou met him. Mr. President, time is running out. We have 24 hours. If we can't find the medicine. Traoré entered his mother's room. Mariam Traoré was lying with her eyes closed but breathing. She must have sensed her son's arrival because she opened her eyes. Ibrahim, she whispered, why is your face so sad? Mother, to save you. He paused. What do you need to do? Bow to the French. Sell our country's independence. Mariam Traoré squeezed her son's hand with all her strength. Son, look at me. Traoré looked at his mother's pale face. I am a 70-year-old woman. I've lived a beautiful life. I raised you, saw you become a great leader. But Burkina Faso is home to millions of people. You are their president before you are my son. Mother, please don't talk like this. Listen to me, Ibrahim. If you sell our country's independence for me, I will not find peace in my grave. And you will carry this burden for the rest of your life. Traoré began to cry. But I don't want to lose you. My dear son, said Mariam, her eyes tearful but determined. You will never lose me. I will be with you in every right decision you make, in every brave step you take. Just then, Traoré's phone vibrated. A message had arrived. He didn't know who it was from, but the content was shocking. CardioMax alternative available. Chinese medicine expert Dr. Li Wei is waiting for you. Lobby floor, room 3. The birth of hope. Traoré ran to the elevator. When he reached the lobby floor, he found room 3. Inside, a middle-aged, very serious-looking Chinese doctor was waiting. Dr. Li Wei, the man said, speaking in English. From Beijing Medical University. Who are you? How did you get here? I'm a special representative of the Chinese government. When we heard about your mother's condition, we immediately took action. Dr. Li took a small bottle from his bag. This is Sinocardio, the Chinese version of CardioMax. It has the same effect, maybe even stronger. Traoré's eyes lit up. Really? Does it work? We've used it in over 500 surgeries in Beijing. 98% success rate. What do you want in return? Dr. Li smiled. Nothing. This is a gesture of friendship. China supports Africa's independence. But how? The French control everything. The French don't control everything, said Dr. Li. The world has changed. It's not just Western medicine anymore. Traoré took the medicine, held it in his hand. This small bottle meant his mother's life. There's one condition, said Dr. Li. Traoré's heart sank. What condition? You will announce to the world that this medicine came from China, that Africa is no longer dependent on a single power. This request didn't seem difficult to Traoré at all. Of course. This is great news. The miraculous surgery. Dr. Ouagadougou was surprised when he saw the medicine. What is this? Sinocardio, the Chinese alternative to CardioMax. I've never heard of it. Is it safe? According to the reports Dr. Li Wei gave, it's very safe. But, Doctor, said Traoré determinedly, we have no other choice. My mother is dying. Dr. Ouagadougou thought. Okay, let's do the surgery. The surgery lasted 4 hours. Traoré was pacing in the hospital corridor. Every minute felt like eternity. The security chief, ministers, even people had gathered in front of the hospital. Everyone was wondering about Mariam Traoré's condition. Finally, the operating room door opened. Dr. Ouagadougou came out, with a tired but happy expression on his face. Mr. President, he said, the surgery was successful. Your mother is alive. The hospital corridor echoed with applause. Traoré fell to his knees, tears flowing. The big announcement. 3 days later, Mariam Traoré had completely recovered. As she left the hospital, Journalists and cameras were waiting for her. Traoré, pushing his mother in a wheelchair, came to the hospital exit. When a microphone was extended, he addressed the whole world. "My dear people, today we not only saved my mother's life, we once again proved Africa's independence." The crowd listened attentively. "The French wanted to sell our country's independence by holding my mother's life hostage. But the world is multipolar. Africa has friends." He raised the medicine bottle in his hand. This medicine came from China. Free, unconditional, as a gesture of friendship. Applause thundered through the sky. From now on, Burkina Faso will be independent in healthcare as well. "We are signing a strategic health partnership agreement with China." France's reaction. In Paris, there was great tension in the session at the Élysée Palace. How did this happen? The president was shouting. Where did he find the medicine? "The Chinese intervened, sir," said the foreign minister. "This is unacceptable. Our medical embargo has become meaningless." "Sir, the world has changed now. We're not the only ones. So what do we do now? We have to find other ways to stop Traoré." Mother's wisdom. That evening, at home, Ibrahim Traoré was talking privately with her son. "Ibrahim," she said, "we learned a great lesson from this crisis." "What do you mean, mother?" "You're not just a political leader. You're a symbol. When they attack you, they're attacking Africa." "I understand. But at the same time, Africa is not alone. There are friendly countries. China, Russia, India. They also want independence." "You're right." Mariam held her son's hand. "You gave me life in this crisis. But more importantly, you gave hope to Africa." "How?" "You showed that we can live without the French. Their threats are empty." New era. A week later, Traoré held a major press conference. Beside him were Dr. Li Wei and the director of the newly established Africa-China Health Center. "Today we are signing a historic agreement," he said. "The Africa-China Health Partnership Agreement. With this agreement, we will build a modern pharmaceutical factory in Burkina Faso. We will now produce heart medicines ourselves." The crowd applauded enthusiastically, not only for ourselves, but for all of Africa. Mali, Niger, Ghana. We will provide health support to all of them. Dr. Li Wei took the floor. "The People's Republic of China supports Africa's health independence. We will invest $500 million. The grand finale. 3 months later, the opening ceremony of the pharmaceutical factory was held. Ibrahim Traoré cut the red ribbon. The first medicine box that came out of the factory bore the inscription, "Made in Burkina Faso." "Dear mother," said Traoré, "you didn't just survive. You became the catalyst for Africa's rebirth." Mariam smiled. "Son, sometimes the greatest victories are born from our greatest fears." "What do you mean? Didn't the fear of losing you make you stronger?" Traoré understood. "Yes. Now I'm not afraid of anything." "That's why you're a great leader. Because you fight for those you love." As the smoke rising from the factory ascended to the sky, it became a symbol of Africa entering a new age. Now no one could hold Africa's children hostage. Epilogue. A year later, the Burkina Faso pharmaceutical factory was exporting medicines to 12 African countries. When Ibrahim Traoré was visiting the factory with her granddaughter, she told the little girl. "Grandmother, why did you get sick?" asked the 7-year-old girl. "My dear granddaughter," said Mariam, "sometimes getting sick is for healing. I got sick so that Africa could heal." And so, a mother's illness became the catalyst for an entire continent's awakening. Because sometimes the greatest victories are born in the most difficult moments.